now!
The Sandman mythos is deep and twisted, but there are very few objects in the universe that are as twisted as the Dreamstone. This is a cursed ruby that can reshape dreams, rewrite reality, and crack open the psyche of gods and mortals alike. It's easy to think of it as a tool, but in fact, this is a fragment of Dream that can mend the world and turn it into a nightmare if Dream wanted to use it that way. But here's the catch. The Dreamstone is not the only enchanted dream that's scattered across the realms. There are more. Join us as we discover these mysterious artifacts and what they reveal about Dream. Before we get into this exploration, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The origin of the Dreamstone, Materiopticon. Before the ruby ended up in the hands of a madman and became a weapon of destruction, the Dreamstone was a masterpiece. It was crafted by Morpheus himself as this talisman that signified infinite potential. Officially, this Dreamstone was named Materiopticon and was infused with a piece of Dream's essence. In the realm of the endless, this ruby worked as an amplifier of Dream's powers and allowed its wielder to manipulate reality simply by dreaming. In various cultures, the Dreamstone got different names, such as by the Martians and the Stone of Binding by the occult scholars. The main purpose of this stone was simple. It was created to do something that's impossible, to channel imagination into form, the abstract into the concrete, and something more permanent. When the stone was in Morpheus's hands, he used it to maintain the balance between the dreaming and the waking world. But as you know, when you have great power like this, there will always be someone trying to ruin it, corrupt it, and abuse it. When Dream was imprisoned by Roderick Burgess, the stone was stolen from him by Ethel Cripps, a former lover of Burgess. Ethel also understood the value of artifacts like this, even though she couldn't understand their cost. Nevertheless, the stone remained in her possession before she passed it on to her son, John Dee. John Dee, in case you didn't know, later became the deranged villain we know as Dr. Destiny. And this is a pivotal moment in the Dreamstone's history for many reasons. Dee was once a brilliant mind in Arkham Asylum, but he had lost the battle against obsession and madness. So, in his hands, the Dreamstone went through a devastating transformation. Dee somehow managed to rewrite the gem to function with his own mind, completely forgoing the original tether that the gem had towards Dream. As a result of that, the stone started changing everything around it through Dee's fragmented imagination, and the balance was destroyed. To understand just how much the Dreamstone was corrupted and misused in Dee's hands, you have to see the 6th issue of the Sandman titled 24 Hours. This issue is infamous amongst fans of the series, and rightfully so. The issue is effectively, whatever could go wrong will definitely go wrong. Over the course of one day, Dee turns a lonely American diner into everyone's personal little hell. He used the stone to manipulate identity, space, and time inside the diner. The 6 diner patrons end up getting trapped in this gruesome psychological experiment and are forced to become its participants. They laughed, cried, murdered, and mutilated themselves under the influence of the truth that Dee wanted to propagate. He believed that if he stripped everyone of the illusions, he would be able to lead the people to something real. But then, in reality, when the Dreamstone started amplifying truth, it started tapping into hidden fears, desires, and self-loathing, which, as you can guess, turned everyone's mind into a hellscape. The issue is not infamous for its gore, it's infamous for showing us how quickly our dreams can turn into nightmares, leaving us shocked and helpless. Eventually, Dream managed to escape from Roderick Burgess's captivity and confronted Dee. The battle between Morpheus and Dee ended on a dramatic note, with the Dreamstone being completely shattered. By doing this, Dee released the portion of Dream's power that was trapped within. Now, Morpheus was able to regain his full abilities. Dee was left broken, his mind scarred, and the Dreamstone was no more. Or so it seemed. In the dreaming, waking hours, Dream finally recreated the ruby, but this time it wasn't made to wield, it was made to hide away. So he hid the Dreamstone inside the head of Dora. She was a unique creation who was neither mortal nor endless, so in a way, you could say that she was the perfect guardian for such a relic. The gem resurfaces in the climax of the Wand storyline when the realm is facing obliteration, and that was when the Dreamstone became a tool for restoration, not used for domination, but to mend the broken threads of imagination and memory. The Dreamstone, in a way, reflects the duality of dreaming itself. On the one hand, it embodies creativity, infinite possibility, and passion. On the other, it mirrors obsession, the destructive power of unchecked desire and delusion. In Morpheus's hand, the ruby is an instrument of vision, but when Dee gets the ruby in his hands, it ends up becoming a weapon of nihilism. We would go so far as to say that the ruby acts as a mythic symbol of how easily the line between nightmare and dream can be crossed. Known Dreamstones. Rose Quartz, the Porpentine. If the Dreamstone is all about power and consequences, The Porpentine, a rose quartz artifact, embodies a gentler and more tragic side of dreaming. Out of all the Dreamstones introduced in the Sandman, A Game of You, this is the most emotionally charged. And this stone isn't tied to conquest or corruption, it's completely related to self-sacrifice, identity, and nostalgia. This Dreamstone was given to Alienora by Dream. Alienora is a very powerful figure in the dreaming and one of his former lovers. Dream's relationship with mortals and near mortals is often complex, and this stone seems to symbolize the effort that's made to maintain connection even after the affection passes. It's unclear whether Dream gave this stone to Alienora as a symbol of power or as a symbol of love, or potentially both, but when she vanished, the gem was passed on to Barbie, an ordinary woman living in New York. In her dreams, the Porpentine manifested as this magical talisman in a whimsical world where evil witches, talking animals, and archetypal adventures are common. Her dream realm, known as the Land, felt like a storybook come to life, but A Game of You makes it clear that even this seemingly innocent dream has stakes. The prop was not a crown or a key, it was a burden, it was an emblem of responsibility. And now, Barbie was thrust into a conflict she barely understood in this realm simply because of Porpentine. Over the course of the arc, the dream world starts collapsing, forcing Barbie to make a devastating choice. Instead of saving the land, the Porpentine is used to destroy it, saving it from corruption by Cuckoo, Barbie's childhood psyche. This act of destruction is symbolic as it represents the painful but necessary process of letting go of past identities, even the comfortings. The main thing that sets Porpentine apart from the other dream gems has to be its emotional resonance. The Dreamstone is all about power and legacy, whereas the Porpentine is about grief and personal evolution. Barbie's sacrifice is just as much of a grand triumph as it is a quiet tragedy, and that's why her story is framed like that. The whole story symbolizes the one truth that I think we all learned the hard way growing up. Dreaming is good, but if we hold on to one dream in particular too tightly, then that dream can become unhealthy for us. So the bravest thing anyone can do in that moment is to wake up. So yes, Porpentine is actually a metaphor for growing up and the loss of childhood wonder, but it's also the mourning for past selves. Barbie didn't just lose a magical world she could slip into, she also lost a version of herself that gave her comfort, and now she has to move through that loss if she wants to move forward. And as for Dream, he appears briefly in A Game of You while his presence looms all over the story, but his presence is felt throughout. From what we can find out, it's clear that Dream carved the stone out of emotion and not out of necessity. Porpentine was a gift to Alienora. It was intimate. Fans often feel like Porpentine is a relic of Morpheus's vulnerability, as it's the product of a time when Morpheus was vulnerable and allowed love to guide his actions. He entrusted such a powerful gem to a lover, and then it ended up in the hands of a young woman who wanted to understand who she was. Now, we're not exactly experts, but that's what we call poetic symmetry, and honestly, it's beautiful. Now, the Porpentine is rose quartz. Symbolically, rose quartz is related to emotional healing, clarity, and love, so putting this gemstone in the Porpentine is deliberate. Unlike rubies with their cold detachment, rose quartz is warm and soft. One might even say that it looks forgiving, but then again, just like love, it can also be fragile. Its destruction in Barbie's hands is the living reminder that even the most tender dreams can force us to make painful choices. Emerald, the Eagle Stone. Then we have the Emerald Dreamstone, which is already known as the Eagle Stone. This is arguably the most hopeful of the dream gems. It's the symbol of continuity, vision, and gentle power. The Eagle Stone represents evolution and legacy. It appears after the death of Morpheus and plays a quiet but important role in ushering in a new era of dreaming. After the events of the Kindly Ones, Morpheus finally allowed himself to die. He was consumed by guilt, grief, and an unwillingness to change. After his death, Daniel Hall comes to the mantle. He's the child of Lyta Hall and a new incarnation of Dream. Daniel gets the emerald along with his throne, and unlike Morpheus, he's gentler, more connected to humanity, and more open to emotion. Daniel later gifted the emerald to Ivy Walker, who was his lover. This is a radical act for a being who commands as much power as Daniel. This stone indeed becomes an engagement ring, reframing the magical artifact of dominion into a symbol of romantic connection and emotional trust. This stone ended up becoming something to share instead of being something to wield. We're sure you might have wondered why this stone is called the Eagle Stone. As it turns out, the term Eagle Stone is drawn from alchemical lore. In this lore, these stones were believed to bring protection, a safe transition, and insight. They were often used by travelers and expectant mothers, which is something akin to Daniel's journey as the new dream. His dreaming is not a prison or a battlefield, it's a sanctuary, and the stone reflects that. The Eagle Stone introduction marks a shift in the nature of dreaming itself. In Daniel's era, the dreams were connected. Unlike Morpheus, who sought to rule the dreaming, Daniel wanted to nurture it. The Emerald Dreamstone is a reflection of that ideology, more understanding, less force. It's a quiet but powerful reminder that succession can also come with reinvention. Fire Opal! The ruby and the emerald both have traveled far from the dreaming in their lifetime, but the Fire Opal didn't. This stone, hidden within the metaphorical book that contains Lucien's mind, is a jewel of memory. It embodies storytelling, loyalty, and the subtle but powerful ways history plays in shaping identity. Lucien is Dream's librarian and one of the oldest residents of dreaming. It's easy to dismiss him as a keeper of the books, but he's much more than that. He's the dreaming's living memory. The Fire Opal being in his mind is essential. The gem is not meant for wielding or weaponizing after all. Instead, it's to reflect the idea that knowledge, when understood properly, becomes luminous, like fire, and that fire can both illuminate and destroy. The gem resurfaced during the final confrontation with Juan, this powerful entity who challenged Dream's authority and the sanctity of dreaming. When Lucien's memories were accessed and treated, the Fire Opal flickered to light. It was not just raw data, but also the truth that was earned over centuries, and in that very moment, the Fire Opal became a weapon, not one of violence, but a weapon of remembrance. The Fire Opal stood as a beacon of continuity against Juan, who represented chaos and disruption. Opals symbolize shifting perception, while fire is transformation. Together, they capture Lucien's purpose in the dreaming perfectly. He's to preserve what must be changed and to adapt when the stories change themselves. Black Pearl. Then you've got the Black Pearl, arguably one of the most terrifying dreamstones of all. The Black Pearl is a weapon of absolute control. It was transfigured into the Black Chest, which was used to imprison rogue nightmares and constructs that didn't follow Dream's will. At first glance, the idea of something that can control dreams like this sounds completely understandable and to a degree practical. I mean, the dreaming contains multitudes, and not every creation will be benevolent or even stable. But nothing in this story is surface level. Once you look beyond it, you'll realize that the Black Pearl is Dream's reflections of his own fear, his urge to dominate instead of understanding. In the Sandman Universe expansions, especially during the dreaming arcs, the Black Pearl becomes something that Juan was obsessed with. He wanted to rewrite the balance of power and cleanse dreaming of its flaws. But then he fails, simply because he never truly understood the true function of the Black Pearl. The Black Pearl was a lock, not a key. The symbolism is chilling to say the least. The Black Pearl actually represents repression. It's the dream that turns sour, the compulsion to cage whatever we don't wish to face. In some ways, you could say that the Black Pearl mirrors how a trauma gets buried deep in the subconscious only to show up later in the most unexpected ways. Some fans, on the other hand, feel that the Black Pearl was something more. Perhaps it was Morpheus's greatest mistake. He created a tool that forced obedience from his creation, which means sometimes he failed to trust his own realm. This authoritarian impulse is what led to the eventual crumbling of Dream's authority. Topaz. The final dreamstone on our list today is Topaz. This is the most enigmatic of all the dreamstones because no one really knows where it is or what it does. Unlike the other gems, the Topaz has never been shown directly. Instead, we learned about it from whispered legends and speculation. Fans theorize that maybe this represents healing, peace, or stasis. The kind of dreams that aren't flashy or dramatic but are completely vital for survival. The kind of dreams that help us keep going. And they've also speculated that maybe Topaz is too pure or too powerful to be used. Perhaps it lies within a dreamer who's forgotten they ever had it. Some fans suggest that maybe the Topaz could make an appearance in the dreaming, waking hours, or nightmare country as a metaphor for hidden strength or unresolved trauma. Others believe that this gem is actually a failsafe, something so connected with the dreaming that it could even reset reality on itself. Symbolically, this is the corner of our minds that holds something sacred, unspoiled, and unreachable. So it could very well be perfect, but it could also be dangerous in its perfection. We can only know for sure when the Topaz shows up. Until then, this dreamstone remains a mystery. The Dreamstone in Netflix's Sandman. When Netflix decided to adapt Sandman on screen, fans were excited but scared. After all, Netflix's track record isn't exactly flawless, but with Sandman, they did a wonderful job, and the changes that they made in the story somehow blend in seamlessly while also enriching the narrative weight, which we love. With Netflix's version of the Dreamstone, we can see that it doesn't just twist dreams into nightmares. Instead, it literally strips away illusions, societal norms, and lies, leaving behind madness and raw human emotion, which was neatly condensed into a single storyline. However, what's most memorable about this adaptation's version of the Dreamstone has to be how it started rejecting Dream. That's right, it only responded to D, proving that it had been warped beyond recognition. When Dream confronted D, the latter shattered the ruby in an act of defiance, allowing Dream to regain his full power. Say what you want, but the idea that the creation turned its back towards the creator because of corruption adds a tragic layer to the story that we certainly didn't expect the Netflix version to give us. Marvelous verdict! There's no denying that these stones play a huge part in the dreaming. Each of them has their own powers and perils, making them completely irreplaceable when you immerse yourself in the mythology. Whether it's the ruby or the unseen topaz, each gem plays a crucial role in the world building, character arcs, and giving us a better understanding of this ever-evolving world. What do you guys think about the gems? If you could have any of them, which one would it be? Let us know in the comments down below, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.